just heard The Bridge by Elton John. This is TRAXXfm's Trax Momentum. We're now officially in the second hour of the show, and today is a rather special interview feature. It's face-to-face Activate, where I will be joined by two very special people. The first one, she's actually in a beautiful island called Langkawi. It's an island so serene where turquoise waters gleam and the white sands stretch. And she's on the phones right now, I believe. Is she there, DJ Natia? Okay, it's okay. We'll wait a while before DJ Natia joins us. But just to introduce our guest today in the studios, today on Face to Face Activate, we are speaking to Dr. Suhaila Omar. She's a consultant pediatrician in Neuro, Disability and Rehabilitation at Hospital Tunku, Azizah, Kuala Lumpur. And today, Dr. Suhaila is going to speak to us on the World Down Syndrome Day 2024, which I believe is celebrated on March the 21st every year. And Dr. Suhaila will be telling us more about that. Doctor, good morning. Welcome to Trax.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me here.
Okay. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you. I think we already received DJ Natia. Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Yes. Were you out there sailing over the open seas or something? It took you a while to come into the studio, Natia.
Yeah, that's a technical problem a little bit here and there. So I'm here.
Okay. Because I was just saying, you are my DJ co-worker and you are in this beautiful island called Langkawi with this white turquoise waters and white sand. So it's so beautiful. And I miss Langkawi and I miss having that great time jamming with you in different parts of the island.
Yeah, miss you too, Anil, of course. So how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself? How's Jimmy Djembe?
Yeah, we are all doing good here.
Okay.
What's on it right now? Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, the month of Ramadan. It's a very holy month, special month. How has Ramadan been for you thus far?
Here on the island, it's actually really, really hot. But I think whatever it is, we have to manage.
Yeah.
There you go.
It must be difficult, isn't it, to manage dealing with the heat and fasting at the same time, yeah?
Yeah, of course. But we'll get through. Don't worry.
Sure. Fingers crossed. Yes, definitely. With good music and great company. Langkawi FM and TRAXXfm. It is Face-to-Face Activate. Just a quick recap again, Natia. And today, in the studios, we are honored and we have the privilege to have a special guest. Her name is Dr. Suhaila
Omar.
Yes. She's a consultant pediatrician in neurodisability and rehabilitation at Hospital Tunku Azizah, Kuala Lumpur. And she's here today in the studios to talk to us in detail about a day that is observed worldwide on the 21st of March every year, which is World Down Syndrome Day 2024.
Yes, welcome, Doctor.
Yeah, hello. Hi, Natia.
Hi.
All right, Doctor. So just to start things off, World Down Syndrome Day, WDSD, that's the acronym, celebrated March 21st.
Yes.
It's a global awareness day and officially observed by the United Nations since 2012, I read.
Yes, that's right.
So could you briefly tell us, what is Down syndrome in your own words, Doctor?
Okay, so have you ever met a person with Down syndrome? Anil?
Yes, I have.
All right.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, okay, Natia. So I'll just give a brief description. So Down syndrome is actually a condition, when a baby that's born, they actually have an extra chromosome. So we all have 23 sets of chromosome, which makes it 46. So people with Down syndrome has an extra 1 chromosome, which means they have 47 chromosomes. And this chromosome is specifically chromosome 21. Okay. So when you have this extra chromosome, what actually happens is that these children or people will be having associated very characteristics, facial features, body habitus, and sometimes they also have medical and developmental issues as well. Yes. Yeah. So that's the gist of a person with Down syndrome.
But just to add another question, is there a severity to the Down syndrome, like extreme Down syndrome, or still okay? Because I've seen people with Down syndrome, some of them are still able to go on and have a good quality, they can work, they can communicate.
That's right.
But some are not able to do that.
Exactly. So so when you have Down syndrome, so besides the characteristics that you usually see and can recognize, regardless of whether they are from Malaysia or whether they're from UK, you can actually recognize Down syndrome, right?
Of course.
The medical issues that comes can also be of severity also.
Right.
So you can have a child with Down syndrome with significant hearing loss, for example. They can have visual issues like cataracts or glaucoma. They can have quite marked intellectual disabilities for some, or they can have significant medical problems, for example, a heart disease which needs to be treated and operated on, or gut issues, or significant developmental delays which can be also associated with other conditions like, for example, autism. So the degree of medical problems they have will somehow dictate in a way how severe the disability can be for them.
Right.
Yeah,
And the quality of life that they would live.
that's
eventually.
true. Exactly, yes.
Natia?
All right, doctor.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what is the current statistic of Down syndrome patients in Malaysia?
Okay, so actually, if we look at it worldwide, the incidence of Down syndrome is about 800 to 1,000 live births. So what we have at the moment is a study that was done in 1990s. It's actually the only study that looks actually in the incidence of Down syndrome in Malaysian children, and our cohort is about the same. We have about 1 in 959 live births. So it generally is the same in terms of its prevalence worldwide.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. And what is the trend in Malaysia, doctor? What is the trend that Ministry of Health has observed in Malaysia?
So if we look at the data that we have now, every year we've been collecting data, and we just looked over the last 5 years, we're seeing that there's slightly an increment in the detection of children or people with Down syndrome. So specifically, for example, in 2021, there was about 499 children that was detected with Down syndrome. Now in 2023, last year, it's about 588.
So it's going
So
on
it's
the rise.
going up a little bit.
I see.
Yeah. So, well, there can be many reasons for it going up. One is because the Ministry of Health is actually advocating for early detection.
Yeah.
And we actually use Down syndrome as a proxy because it's actually one of the conditions or disabilities that is actually easily detected. We should be picking it up.
Right.
Yeah, so that can be one of the big reasons why you're seeing there's actually an increment in this data.
How early in a fetus's gestational age can you detect it from having Down syndrome?
Actually, if you actually do antenatal screening, you can actually detect it.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I see.
but it's a screening test, and you can actually further confirm it as well by doing certain tests as well, where you look at the DNA.
Yeah.
All right, but as doctors, we can actually, due to the characteristics of these children, you can actually detect it from birth as well.
From birth as well.
And when we do hope that we can actually pick these children up early, because you know that even at birth, they can have certain problems that we need to take care of before they can go home.
Of course, of
Yes,
course.
right.
And I think with the advancements in technology right now, their life expectancy has been stretched as well. I mean, they can, with lots of intervention, treatment and so on.
So that's the misconception, because we know that people with Down syndrome can live a fairly normal lifespan,
Right.
regardless of whether you have technology or not. But of course, with the technology and the inclusion that we hope that we bring from this awareness, the quality of life
Yes.
actually be much better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll touch a bit on the fallacies and the misconceptions later on
yes,
towards the second
yes.
break. We'll
Okay.
jump in for a quick song break right now, Doctor.
right.
When we come back, we'll resume with our Face-to-Face Activate. Today on Face-to-Face Activate, I'm speaking to Dr. Suhaila Omar. Joining me as well from Langkawi FM is DJ Natia. And we're speaking to Dr. Suhaila on World Down Syndrome Day 2024, which is celebrated globally on March the 21st. We'll jump in for a quick break. When we come back, we shall resume with our discussion. Don't go anywhere.
TRAXXfm, Langkawi FM, face-to-face activity with Dr. Suhaila Omar, and she's the consultant pediatrician in Neuro, Disability and Rehabilitation, the Hospital Tunku, Azizah, Kuala Lumpur. And today we are speaking about Down syndrome as we are celebrating World Down Syndrome Day 2024. Yes, so doctor,
Yes.
can you actually tell us more about how Down syndrome affects the growth of the child as well as the family? Yeah.
Okay, so as I've said, usually children with Down syndrome, they are actually usually born smaller. They're smaller,
Okay.
and their growth is also actually slower.
I see.
Okay, but one of the big issues that they can have actually is one of the characteristics of Down syndrome is that these children are floppy, or they have very low muscle tone, or what we as doctors call hypotonia.
Okay.
Okay, so this low muscle tone actually affects all muscles, including your breathing muscles and of course feeding and swallowing muscles. Okay, so their growth will be quite slow in the initial parts because a lot of them will have some sucking and swallowing difficulties. And that is why it's best to detect early so that we can actually support these babies in terms of their nutrition and alternative modes of feeding for some of them.
I see.
So that's one. So as they grow, in terms of their growth, subsequently as they grow on later, they can become shorter than the general population. They're usually shorter, and sometimes most of them do get obesity towards the later age in adulthood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the initial phases, they have very slow growth or faltering growth and issues with feeding and eating and swallowing and all that. But as they grow older, they can have issues with obesity.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, doctor, earlier on in the conversation, you explained to us about the Down syndrome, how it happens. You spoke to us about the chromosome equation and things like that. But I'm very interested to know what actually leads to that. Is it a lifestyle? Is it genetics?
Okay.
What actually causes? Because sometimes it's really, as human beings, we just can't help but to feel sad for them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if there's a solution to it, of course, it would have been addressed a long time ago. Doctor, your thoughts?
Yeah. So, so they have this extra pair of chromosome.
Chromosome.
Yeah, this not pair. They have this extra chromosome.
Just one.
Just one. And where did it come from, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely not hereditary in a large majority of people with Down syndrome. Okay, so it's important to get that through that it's not inherited in a large population. So most times what happens is just that it's a random event where during cell division, during the early development of the gamete, it just doesn't separate as it's supposed to. And this failure to separate usually happens in the egg cell rather than the sperm.
I see.
Okay, so it always happens in the ovum.
Ovum.
Yeah. Why it happens? Of course, there's no real answer to it. Of course, there's risk factors. The risk factors people talk about are usually maternal age, and it's true that when we find that the older the mothers conceive, the risk for getting a child with Down syndrome is higher. Okay. But you find that actually a lot of young mothers do have children with Down syndrome because the population of people who are still childbearing is still the younger age group.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really, it doesn't really work that way all the time. Okay, so there's no real answer to your question. It's not hereditary, and we need to understand that
it's not hereditary. Neither is it based on your lifestyle or whatever.
Exactly.
It's just a random
event. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Natia?
Okay, and doctor, what are the options available for parents with a child who is diagnosed with Down syndrome? I always find them actually, they are really cute. For me, they are really cute.
They are adorable.
Adorable,
and
yeah.
Some of them, they can do everything. Some of them, but the severe, the severe kids,
Yeah.
that one is so hard to tell. But yeah, all I can see, they are very adorable. Yeah. What are actually the options that available for parents?
Okay, so there's actually a lot of options available.
Okay.
Okay, so and it's the awareness of what are the options available that's important. So one is, as I said, is early detection. So we need to detect early, and KKM has started a program of early detection of children with disabilities, specifically for Down syndrome, and we hope to be able to detect these children from the age of 1. Once they are detected, it doesn't even have to be in big hospitals. We can actually do it in clinic kesihatan and even our rural hospitals, and rural clinics as well.
Right.
So once we're detected early, then there's actually an early intervention program that's available in our public hospitals and public clinic kesihatan, where there's therapy can be started in terms of physiotherapy, sucking, swallowing issues from a speech, and even occupational therapies in terms of their issues with their tone, muscle tone and all that. So it can be started early from the word go once it's diagnosed. Now, of course, we've already got a lot of services in terms of the medical health, looking into what are the medical issues that these children will have. So, screening for thyroid diseases, the most common problem these children will have is thyroid issues.
Okay.
And we need to treat it well, because thyroid diseases, hypothyroid, lack of thyroid hormone in a child with disability, a child with Down syndrome, can also be detrimental to the development of the child.
Right.
Okay. Heart conditions, we need to do a screening to make sure that they don't get heart problems, because 50% of children with Down syndrome do have a cardiac issue. So subsequently, we have services available to get them registered into school,
Yeah.
Secondary school,
Yeah.
what are the vocational, there's so many things available
Yes,
actually.
yes.
And what you just need to do is, go to MOH and look into what are the services available for people with Down syndrome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still just touching on parents, doctor. I mean,
Yep.
I just want to ask you.
Yep.
You're a pediatrician. You're an expert. You've spoken to parents. Psychologically, how do you deliver this news to them? How would you prepare their mental grit for them? Because it's a tough task ahead.
That's right. Breaking bad news is never easy for any doctor, I have to say, especially when you're a pediatrician having to break bad news about their children or their babies that's just been born.
Okay.
But for Down syndrome, for me, once I've done the initial assessment, I find that I do not put it in a negative way, because usually these children have so much potential.
Yeah.
I find Down syndrome children have so much potential. We just need to make sure we get the early intervention in early, get the medical issues that are needed to be sorted out, and then they should be, on their feet. So rather than seeing it as a disability and a setback, I tried my best to tell them that, hey, this child has got Down syndrome, but these are the possible abilities and, frontiers. There's so many things that you can actually do.
Of course.
And we are in Malaysia, there's so many services available.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, we need to educate our health services as well, our doctors, not just the pediatricians who are going to be involved in the care of these children, our clinic kesihatan, public health, family medicine, they're all on board in terms of, managing a child with Down syndrome.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So rather than seeing it as a bad news, see it
Yeah.
as a potential to actually,
So
be
that
an
is
advocate for a
Yeah.
child with disability.
So that's the angle you take on them. Don't look
Yeah.
at this as a setback. Your child is not, going to suffer, but this is just an opportunity for him to live a different life.
Exactly.
And there are
Exactly.
resources out there. The infrastructure is in place.
Exactly.
We're living in Malaysia. Everything is there.
Yes.
And they can still live a good life.
Yes.
Yeah?
So the advocate for the child with disability and, for Down syndrome is their own parents.
Sure.
You can't expect, the teacher to do it. You have to be the advocate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, Doctor, touching on the theme for this year's World Down Syndrome Day, it's end the stereotypes.
Yep.
So we're going to battle and we're going to curb all the fallacies, the misconceptions. So why is it important for us to address these stereotypes, Doctor?
It's so important because we need to look into inclusion,
Yeah.
participation.
Yeah.
Not just feel sorry for these children or feel sorry for these parents.
Yeah.
They are part of our society. They should be in our schools, in our malls, and if they have a disability that prevents them from being able to be part of a society, then we have to find ways to make them part of us. And rather than feeling sorry for them, we should be advocating for them as well.
Right.
So make them part of us, you see? Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to address the stereotypes.
Yeah,
Just look at them as one of us.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And Down syndrome is like the easiest to look as part of us. I mean, I don't see anything
Right.
different about them actually for me.
Yeah.
So like simple stereotypes, like for example, if you find a child with Down syndrome cannot walk, because they have developmental delay, they are slower at walking, but that's not true.
Okay.
So they should be able to walk. They just need the early intervention to be put in early, and parents need to realize that it's important because these children should be able to walk. Some people will say that these kids can't write and can't talk, for example, or can't talk. Let's just talk about they're not speaking.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's because you have not addressed that they actually have a middle ear infection or effusion, you call it, water in the middle ear, which has not been addressed, and it just needs to be sorted out.
Okay.
And that hearing issues may be a problem for that child. You just need to sort it out.
Okay.
Like doctor, I'm just wondering, do you suggest actually that Down syndrome kids actually go to normal school, or they have specific school to go to? What do you suggest?
I think
maybe they can learn from the normal child, and then we never know.
Assimilation. Yeah.
Assimilation. Well, actually, this idea of inclusivity of all children with disability, not just Down syndrome,
Yeah.
has been for many years. It's been like part of our UNICEF.
The ethos.
Yeah, the ethos of inclusivity rather than putting them in special schools.
Yeah.
And I think that's also been something that we have as Malaysia, Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education. That's actually something that we are trying to also move towards. Okay, so actually what we have is actually what we call inclusive education in our public schools, where these children are started off in a different class, for example, with other children with disability, but they are also included in certain of other classes with other children as well. Studies have actually shown that they do better. It's actually a win-win situation for both. Not just for the child with a Down syndrome or disability, it's also important for the child who doesn't have a disability.
Yeah,
it actually helps them as well.
Because they are the generation that is going to grow up with them to become adults.
Exactly.
And they're going to need to learn how to, cope with them as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not cope, but just be part of them.
Yeah.
Rather
Part
than
of them.
seeing
Yeah.
there's
Okay,
someone as very, very
Sure,
different,
sure,
and
sure.
when you see them, you don't know what to do with them. Should I say hello?
Yeah.
Should I address them because they look different? It shouldn't be that way. They should just be like, oh, hello. And if they don't answer, or they take time to answer, it's just something that you just have to wait, and because you are so used to seeing them
Right.
part of us, you see. So this interaction between us and people with Down syndrome or other disabilities have not really started well, because we always get very worried when we see them.
So still touching on awareness, Doctor, do you think this year's theme can actually address all of these pressing issues?
Definitely. I think it's actually a very good, very essential theme. And there was a study that was done by UNICEF on knowledge, practices, and attitude of us as Malaysians towards people with disability, and we're still far lacking. We're still far lacking.
Right.
There's still a lot of stigma, discrimination of the caregivers and parents of people with disabilities. There's still a lot of bullying and discrimination, at school itself of these children. So we are still, and this is just a recent study. So we're still, far behind. And this team would really help in making people aware that there's a need to actually break stereotypes.
And where can we get more information on this year's theme and this year's activities for World Down Syndrome Day, Doctor?
Okay, so actually we do have #KKM on the website,
Okay.
we do have a portal for Down syndrome.
Okay.
And there's a lot of support groups actually for people with Down syndrome. So one of the biggest support groups is, of course, we've got the Persatuan Down Syndrome Malaysia, and of course Kinwanis. So these are some of the resources that are available
Okay.
in our country. You can just visit their website and you can see what's going on there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right, doctor. Like in Langkawi also we have our how to say Down syndrome centers, and for all the autism kids and everything. Yeah, I'm a teacher actually. So
Oh, okay, Natia.
I'm a
That's
music
nice.
teacher. Yeah. So actually I teach them music.
Oh, that's the
And-
best.
Oh,
Yeah.
you haven't heard her sing. You should hear Natia sing. Okay.
And yeah,
I would love to hear
they
you
really
sing.
can actually, how to say, dance to it, and then sometimes sing to it.
That's right.
Not every Down syndrome child is actually, they say that disabled or anything. I really do find them that they really have this talent, and we should keep the awareness lah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Because
So
we can do whatever that we can do actually.
yes. So actually, music therapy is actually a wonderful therapy for people with disability. They actually do very well with music.
Yeah.
We should encourage it more.
yes.
In fact, if we can have more people who are trained in therapy, music therapy, which is very good for even our public hospitals to have.
Okay.
Because it's one way to bridge,
Yeah.
all this. It's actually music is actually a good bridge.
Good
you
bridge
know,
to
for
unite
all
us
this.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for kids with disability, it actually works very well. But this centers, so as you've realized, actually Down syndrome children, they run, they play, they can
Yeah.
do sport, they
Yeah.
talk, they can learn, and they're just part of.
And they're very
normal
loving.
society.
They're very
Yeah,
loving
they're loving
children.
Yeah, really,
But
really loving.
They're loving, yeah, that's
And
true.
they sort of appreciate, excessively appreciate the affection that you show unto them.
That's true.
And
Yes,
it's so
correct.
pure in its purest form. And it's so nice to see that.
Yes, but what we need to also be aware is so when they're small, these resources are available. What we are worried about is as they grow up, the teenagers
Yeah.
with Down syndrome or a young adult with Down syndrome, and as they grow to old age later on. So what happens to these people?
Yeah.
So with a lot of disabilities, we see this is the gap of services that we are finding.
Okay.
So as they grow into teenage years, what sort of issues will they get? As they grow into adulthood, what are the medical problems that we can expect? For example, although they're happy and fun-loving when they're young, depression is actually one of the major problems that they get in adulthood.
Wow.
Okay, so a lot of them can get depression, and Alzheimer's, where they get issues with their mental health or memory and
Memory.
things like that. Can also be one of the problems they get on later on in life. So, which is why this inclusion, participation of these children early on, where you get them to be independent, part of society, is actually very important, so that we can actually manage all these issues as they go on through their life. You see. So if you think about these people with Down syndrome, they should be able to lead fairly normal lives, and even be independent.
Of
you know,
course.
independent living. They don't have to need a person to be with them all the time.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's where we should be aiming for. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Suhaila Omar, thank you very much for setting aside
Thank
your
you.
time. It was
Yeah,
a
thank you
very,
very much,
very fruitful 30 minutes of a conversation. We learned so much, DJ Natia and me.
Yes, of
And
course.
we look forward to having you again in the studios. Ramadan Kareem to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. I really enjoyed it. I didn't realize it's already been half an hour.
Yeah.
Fun.
Time, they say, time really catches up fast when you're having a great conversation.
Exactly.
And this is a testament to that. Natia, anything you want to say to Doctor?
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor, for all this. We get to know all the information and then all the things that we need to, keep our society not to think that Down syndrome is actually a disability or whatever. To keep people aware of these special children. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, that's right,
Thank you
Natia.
very much,
Thank you so
Doctor.
much. All right.
Okay, all right. That was Dr. Suhaila Omar. She is a consultant pediatrician in neuro disability and rehabilitation at Hospital Tunku, Azizah, Kuala Lumpur. And today, Dr. Suhaila opened up our minds by sharing with us about Down syndrome in conjunction with World Down Syndrome Day 2024. Now, DJ Natia, another quick cue for our listeners. If they want to visually see what's happening, they can always head to TRAXXfm Official's Facebook page as well as...
And also...
Langkawi
FM Facebook page, together.
That's right. So this is our monthly rendezvous. It's called Face to Face Activate, which takes place every third Thursday of the month. So this is where Natia and myself, we come together and we speak to very insightful, knowledgeable guests like you.
Yes, correct. Thank you very much, Anil, for having me.
All right, you take care, Natia. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
All right, 5 minutes to the top of the hour. At 12 o'clock, we'll be crossing over to the RTM Radio News Center for the 12 o'clock news bulletin. In the meantime, I'm going to play you another song. Here's Send Your Love by Sting, TRAXXfm.